Oh, you are yeah. Okay. So let's now simulate what's happened with the worker, and let's generate a lot of case in a process and to see how the engine is dealing with that. Okay? Okay. Come with me. Okay, so now let's simulate and load our Bonita Engine to see what's happened and how we can monitor. So to do that, I did a very simple process here. So with that process, the first step is to search on this. So I will load and check a lot of things on my disk. It takes something like 30 seconds with a high CPU because I access my disk a lot. Then the second task is just to make the thread sleep. So sleep for 30 seconds, which is very not good because I body one worker for 30 seconds doing nothing. And then the same, I have another sleep times here. But only because this is a user task and this is automatic task. So to monitor that, the first tool that I use is a Java Mission Control. It's available in the Java machine. You start it, and then you see you have to search and to connect to the Bonita Engine. This is Tomcat applications here, and I have a lot of metrics. And the metrics I'm looking here is a work pending queue in the worker. And this is the number of items in my queue. You know, it must be stay under 500,000 record here. For the moment, my Bonita Engine does nothing, so it's 0. The next tool I use is a tool available on the community. The name is Radar, and the idea behind this tool is to collect information on the Bonita Engine. So what I'm looking here about the worker thread, and you see here I have my 10 worker. Everything are waiting. The thread is not working at all on what's happened. Okay, so here I can detect as well my queue, and my queue is 0 at this moment. Okay, so now let's overload my Bonita Engine and analyze what's happened. So to overload my Bonita Engine, I use another tool. It's available on the community. Yes, there are a lot of tools on the community. The name is Meteor. I will do a video on that one because it's a very useful tool. So I go to process scenario, I collect the process, I look for the process I want to overload. Here it is, I generate only one reboot. Oops. Okay, and let's start for 50 keys to create it. See, okay, so I created my 50 keys, and of course, it's take time, will be take time. So first, have a look here on my oops, sorry, I have to do a refresh. So you see, immediately my worker queue go to 40. Okay, I created 50, there are 40. If I monitor that, no, it's stable, so there are still 40 in my queue, in memory. If I have a look to the radar, what we see here? So we see here, we have now 5 threads runnable. 5 are blocked. That's good, and nothing is waiting. So with that tool, if I want to know what's happened deeply, it's easy. I click on the show list, and then I have the list of all the threads. So I have 10 workers, I have 10 threads. And you can see here, some are blocked in the Java, and I can have the thread dump, and I get all the information where the workers are. Unfortunately, I don't have any information on the worker, what he's doing, which process, which case, with activities currently executing. There are no way in the Bonita Engine to know that information. Maybe one day, but not at this moment. So if I click here on collect again, let's have a look. It is still a lot of blocked. I think to my disk because it worked on my bot. And here, if I look here, still 42. So as you can see here, we have no direct relations between the work unit here in the queue and the work queue. Why? Because this number actually is the number of flow node in the database. So some flow node can generate multiple work items in the list. I think here, for example, when there's multiple item or something like this. And on the opposite, some item here may not generate anything in the list here, especially when you have a cluster, because this is a number in the database, and here this is a number of memory. Okay, so here you can see what happened. Still a lot of blocking, so you can say maybe I can increase my number of worker, maybe a good idea. And then here, if you want to do that, first you have to pay attention on the overview, because of course you have to pay attention to the memory of the CPU. If the same than for the portal, if the CPU is every time already 100%, then of course you must not increase the number of threads. You will not have any good element here, because your CPU is already 100%. So here it's okay, it's moved to 60. So here I can imagine to increase my my number of workers. So let's have a look after the executions. For example, I access to the administrations. I take one case ID here, that one, and I use, where did I save it? Another page. Oh, here it is. It's a long board. I already told you about that one. I give the case number, and let's have a look what's happened here. And this is the timeline. So we see here the execution. So maybe it's not needed for this task to take so much time, but due to the queue. So maybe when you create a case or task, it will move when it's created at the end of the queue. So the process, the engine have to process all the other work before executing that particular task. So that's why when you have a lot of engine, a lot of work in your engine, it's mid-time when a user click on a task to see the next task. It's just because you have a lot of work. So how do you, is that possible to register after how many times, how many queue you have in your engine? Imagine that you want to know what's happened this morning at 9 o'clock. Unfortunately, the Bonita Engine does not save any information like that. The same for Java Mission Control. You can have an access at one moment on the matrix, but you don't have any graph for something like this. So you have to use an external tool like New Redux or Java Melody or whatever, or you have to use the TruckMill page, because in the TruckMill page you have a way to monitor and to register all that information. But I will show you that in another video when I will speak about the TruckMill page. So to conclude, what you have to know about the worker, you have two main parameters. The work list, we have to keep that a lot of capacity here, and the number of workers, which is a very important one. If you want to increase the number of workers, you really must start to monitor your queue, because if the queue is every time under 10 or something like this, and you don't need to add more workers, you will have no interest to do that. If you become to have a lot of items, then you have to fix and to tune the worker according to your CPU. It's not need to move more workers than your CPU and your memory can handle, because then it's not good for your machine. So you have to monitor the CPU, the number of queue, and so on, and then you can tune the correct number of workers. And you have to do that, I would like to say, maybe every 2 weeks or something like this, depend if you have a new job, new user on your platforms. I hope it's clear for you now how to configure that part.
Thank you. The explanation was as dense as the heat that we are experiencing right now.